Let's address something head on. The old school fear management approach, it doesn't work anymore. The days of yelling at employees and expecting loyalty, those days are long gone.
When I took that poison out of the culture, we literally broke all our sales records last month. I mean, we just skyrocketed.
He had a poor work ethic, poor attitude. He thought he was the best thing around, so he wouldn't do simple daily tasks and fit in with the culture. It's a lot more business than it is plumbing. You have to have that business mindset on top of the plumbing mindset.
It's so much more about the culture. Our trade skills and soft skills and all that can be taught to just about anybody. Experience is important, but when you're culturally unfit for a team, it's not okay.
Remember, your business doesn't grow because of tools or tactics. It grows because of people. We need to create a culture that people want to be a part of. Episode 1, Core Values That Actually Work. The secret to retaining employees and streamlining your business. I want to share a story with you of a business owner I knew who grew from 2 employees to 18 in just 8 months. Exciting, right? But then things started feeling chaotic. Managing, leading, hiring, it was all moving so fast. So I asked, do you have a strategic plan? The answer? Well, it's in my head. Well, how about core values? They said, maybe on a piece of paper somewhere. Here's the thing. This is not uncommon. When you are in the middle of a rapid growth, it's easy to focus on putting out fires and let things like core values slide. But the truth is, your core values are your compass. They are what guide your team, your decisions, and your culture, especially during hockey stick growth. That's boom when you're shooting up really fast. The good news, it's never too late to hit the reset button. Today is the perfect day to sit down, write them out, and let them lead you forward. Whether you've never done it or need to update them, there's no shame in starting now. And that's our focus for today: how to create core values that attract and retain top talent, how to avoid desperation hiring, and how to make core values the foundation of every decision. Let's get started. Core values, more than just wall art. Core values aren't just words on a wall. They are the foundation of your business. They define how you hire, how you retain employees, and how you make business decisions. That is, when you know how to use them correctly. But too often, they are treated like slogans rather than the essential tools that they are. If your team can't name your core values or doesn't see them reflected in how you operate daily, they are not serving their purpose.
We do have core values and we have a mission statement. We developed them and we told everybody that we had them, and then that was kind of just it. It didn't do anything, and it didn't do anything for retention or anything like that. And I believed them, but there was no action behind it. We currently started at the beginning of this year. We do once a month one-on-ones, and we actually grade you on your ability to achieve our core values, to participate in our mission statement, your efforts through the day. And then we talk about them more in our morning meetings. And what we found is we had one player that really didn't participate with those value systems. The other players started telling us in these one-on-one activities was, if he gets away with it, what does it matter? And they might have said it in different words, but basically they were saying, it doesn't really seem like a value if it's not upheld. Doing that one-on-one time, we self-grade it too. So instead of me telling you, I'm going to define growth on the piece of paper, and then I'm going to ask you, first off, who's responsible for your growth? And that way you get to tell me an example of what you did to help yourself grow this month. Then you get a 1 to 10 scale of how you rate yourself with that. If I'm paying you to take the time to sit down and talk about the core values, they're probably important. There's a piece of that where, hey, is there anything that you need to talk about that we're not talking about right now? That type of stuff. That's not really values. But our core value, our mission is actually related to changing the way that tradesmen are treated in our market. It goes much deeper than us just making more money.
This was me a couple years back, too. A few years ago, our core values were just words on a wall: honesty, integrity, and common sense. They sounded good, but they didn't really reflect who we were as a team. So we asked our leadership team to think of past and present employees who stood out, those true A players. We listed their names on a whiteboard, and patterns started to emerge. What made them special? They were servant-hearted, helpful, driven, and optimistic. As we dug deeper, we realized those qualities were the essence of our company. That exercise gave us our current core values: innovative, helpful, driven, optimistic, experts, ambassadors, and impactful. These weren't aspirational ideas. They were already alive in how our team operated. When we rolled out these updated core values to the team, something powerful happened. Instead of skepticism or indifference, everyone agreed. Yes, that's who we are. And that's the key. Core values should reflect the best of your team, not a wish list from leadership. When they resonate, they unify and inspire your team to live them every day. So here's an exercise to help you figure out your core values and make them actually useful. Before the workday kicks off, take a moment to pause and look around your shop. Imagine you're taking inventory, but not of parts or tools. This time, we're focusing on your people. Start with your best team members. Who stands out? Write down their names and what makes them exceptional. For example, Technician Joe rarely gets callbacks because of his meticulous attention to detail and high craftsmanship. Jane always answers the phone with a smile. She's the embodiment of friendliness and helpfulness. Better yet, make it interactive. Ask your team to take part in this exercise too. Encourage them to look around, notice the standouts, and submit names of coworkers who consistently go above and beyond. Pose questions like, who on the team sets the standard for great work? Who makes the workplace better just by being a part of it? What specific actions or qualities make these individuals really stand out? By involving your team, you not only get a clearer picture of your business's values, you also create a culture of recognition and appreciation. When it comes to culture, the truth is you don't have to have all the perfect values figured out, especially on day one. But if you never consider them, how will you know who or what your business even stands for? Over time, your core value inventory sessions will shed light on the type of people you want to have in your business. Intentional hiring.
We hired a very experienced plumber one time. He had all the licenses, certifications, could do anything that he wanted to that I asked him to do. And he ended up just not being what he said he was. So, that was a big learning curve for us, but he had a poor work ethic, poor attitude. He thought he was the best thing around, so he wouldn't do, just simple daily tasks and fit in with the culture. So that was the big thing. We can train these guys, give them everything that they want and need to succeed. But if they don't have the attitude and the culture that you have at your company, it'll just never work out. It brought the overall morale down of the whole team. Kind of a sore time for us, but it led to a very good plumber that we had fall off the wagon. We learned a lot from that, and you definitely just have to have the right people.
Here's a principle we live by. Always be hiring. Not because you're desperate, but because you are committed to finding the right people. Desperation hiring is when you end up settling, and that's when things really fall apart. It's true we aren't superhuman. And robots, well, they haven't quite taken over the world just yet. So we can't possibly grow to $1 million business by having just you and one tech out working gigs. We are trying to build a legacy here, not create a job for yourself. There are times where you really will feel the pressure, get desperate, and hire the first person that seems like maybe they can do the job. If it's just you, or if you're overworked, you're already starting to get desperate. Slow down. You do not want to hire the wrong person. It's going to create more work for you later.
There have been times, we need people. We've got all these calls. We don't have anybody to go do it. So, we'll hire Joe Smo off the street that says, yeah, I can plumb. I've been plumbing with my dad, something like that, but they weren't the right person. So while they could go do it, they didn't do it correctly. Had to be supervised a lot more. Whereas we just hired another guy about 6 months ago, and we actually waited for that position. We turned some resumes down, stuff like that, and waited for that specific role we were looking for, having the culture we needed. Bringing that right attitude every day instead of tanking morale. He boosted everybody's morale. He's a very good team player, and he has, all the certifications and licensing that is required. That's kind of when you find out who's made for it and who's not. Whenever you take that urgency and rush it, you don't know what you're getting. But if you follow your policies and procedures upon hiring, then you tend to find out a lot more about a person for sure.
Hiring out of desperation will get you nowhere, my friend. Instead, let's hire intentionally. Conduct multiple interviews for each candidate and focus on whether they align with your core values. Are they a true culture fit? Do they bring the right attitude and potential? Remember, we are not going to hire the wrong person. We're just not. We're going to take our time, and yeah, sometimes that sucks. Before they even join your team, before you even post the job, there needs to be some important things outlined. You need clarity. You and your potential new team members need a few things. First, you need clear expectations of their role and the KPIs that you're going to manage them by. You need a structured communication hierarchy. Who are they going to talk to and when? You need a support system so they are not isolated. They have to know who they report to, and they need someone to check in on them. But hey, if that sounds like a lot, don't worry. We already have templates for that. Reach out to the New Flat Rate and we can help. And remember, before you can retain employees, you have to find the right fit for the company and for the position. You don't want the wrong person in the wrong seat. So always do 3 interviews before hiring anyone. 1 phone interview and 2 in-person interviews. And always interview at least 3 qualified candidates for the position. Always have a clear hiring process and stick to it. That is key. Now, you just heard me say, always do 3, always do 3, always do 3. And you might stop listening or want to. But don't, because your cadence might not be 3 interviews or the same as someone else's, and that's okay. You may have a different process and a different cadence. What matters is setting a process in stone so you avoid hasty hires that lead to regret later. So consider incorporating steps like a ride-along day or a technical skills assessment to see candidates in action. Even in urgent situations, you can temporarily place someone in the role and observe how they align with your team before making it official. Intentional hiring is about finding the right fit without unnecessary delays or mistakes. So again, come up with your cadence, but you have to have one and know what that is ahead of time. Okay, and I know in the current state of our market, it is hard to find that one right person. Intentionality doesn't mean we spend 3 years looking for one amazing new hire. It just means we have clarity on what the hiring process looks like. So here's a tip. Instead of hiring one senior unicorn with all the pressure on their shoulders, consider hiring 2 junior team members. And my favorite thing about that is that it might be a rhino and a horse. They'll have someone to collaborate with and won't feel the weight of being a lone wolf. If your budget only allows for one hire, make sure they are connected to a team with regular communication and support. We don't want that person to feel like they are stranded on an island. The second they do, that's the first retention red flag. In the first week on the job, be sure to check in with your new hires to find out what parts of their new job are actually energizing them the most. Or are there areas that they may be feeling a little bit insecure about? And would they be willing to share that with you? This is to ensure we get them the training they're gonna need, or we match them up with the right support team member. We need them to have connection. Keep those answers saved and take action on them to make sure that you are setting your team up for fulfillment in their work. How about if you're not actually hiring anytime soon? Well, surprisingly, about 33% of an owner's time should still be spent on hiring and retaining their team. I know, don't shoot the messenger. I know that's a lot. Hiring isn't just something that you do when there's an immediate opening. It's an ongoing process. If you're not hiring today, it's time to think ahead. Think 6 months ahead. What positions will you need then? What gaps might arise between now and then? Start building your bench now by consistently meeting potential candidates, even if there's not any current openings. Retention is just as important. Take this opportunity to check in with your current team. Skip the emotional reviews. Instead, focus on measurable KPIs and clear performance metrics to guide constructive conversations. The goal is to create a culture of growth and accountability ensuring everyone stays in the right lane. By planning ahead and investing in your team, you set yourself up for long-term success. Retention starts before day one. First, let's think about, what do people look for in their jobs? I got to ask Jason Pfeiffer, the editor-in-chief of Entrepreneur Magazine, this one question. What are people looking for in their jobs? He gave me an audio reply to say people are looking for 3 things. Number 1, they're looking for autonomy. They want to feel like they're making their own decisions. Number 2, they're looking for competency. They want to feel good at what they are doing. And number 3, relatedness. They want to feel connected to others. Trust me, understanding this has a lot to do with why people quit. My team and I did the work. We polled professionals in extensive surveys about why they left their previous jobs. People said they wanted to change industries. One had scheduling conflicts. One was looking for better benefits. And another had some clashes with coworkers. These are just a few examples, really symptoms of the larger issue at hand. People quit because they either don't have autonomy, competency, or relatedness. The truth is, you can't expect someone to be motivated if they don't have all 3 of these things. Retention doesn't start with better pay or flashy perks. It starts with the hiring process and continues with how you treat your team every single day. Employees want to feel valued. They need proper training so they're set up for success. They need clear communication about who to go to for help or if they have questions. They don't want to feel stupid about asking questions. They need a collaborative team environment where they have peers, not just tasks. And let's address something head on. The old school fear management approach, it doesn't work anymore. The days of yelling at employees and expecting loyalty, well, those days are long gone. Why? Because employees have options now. They didn't have those options before. They're not going to put up with toxic cultures when they can work somewhere that respects them. Instead, we need to create a culture that people want to be a part of, one built on respect, collaboration, and accountability. That starts with listening to your team. What do they want? What do they need to succeed? Here's an example. If a technician is struggling, don't immediately think termination. Instead, start asking questions. Number 1, did we train them well? Number 2, are they being held accountable? And number 3, are we giving them the tools and support that they actually need? When you answer these questions honestly, you often realize the issue isn't the employee, it's the system. And remember, you have to hold people accountable for the sake of your other team members. If you don't, then the A players on your team resent your leadership for not getting rid of the C players.
Last month, we let go of our most senior employee. He used to consistently do 6 figures a month by himself, and he just stopped. He was done. We couldn't figure it out. We kept sitting down and we kept trying to work with him. And finally, we gave him some boundaries. Once those boundaries were crossed, then it's, well, actually, you've created the situation that I have to deal with. And I'm not mad at him. I still love him to death. But we could no longer work together in that capacity. I think 2 days after we let him go, we opened up our next recruiting cycle. And within a week and a half, we had 4 licensed, excellent candidates that we then had to weed down. We put some boundaries in place, and then I just reached out within the team that we already had. And I said, look, we got some stuff going on and we need some help with it. I know y'all are capable. Is this something you want to step up to? And they were absolutely. Let's go, So what I've learned is if you tell me you want to step up, I'm going to give you some steps to go up. And if you choose to take those steps, then you'll see some financial reward as a result of that. But if you start asking for the reward before the work, we're probably not going to work out. So they really started stepping up. Some other guys started stepping up. And as we took that, I really like to look at it as it's kind of a poison. You have that guy that's now broken, but he had some stuff going on inside his head that he couldn't get rid of. And when I took that poison out of the culture, we literally broke all our sales records last month. I mean, we just skyrocketed. And now we're in a position where we got a guy on the hook to hire that's an excellent candidate that went through 3 interview processes. We also have apprentices set up. So every time I learn to follow more directions, I kind of get out of the way more and stuff starts working better. Our trade skills and soft skills and all that can be taught to just about anybody. You do have to have a little bit of aptitude, but that's not that hard to find. Experience is important, but it's so much more about the culture. When you're culturally unfit for a team, that means it's okay for that to exist in the culture. It's not okay.
Simplify to multiply. Let's talk about organization. A chaotic business doesn't just frustrate you. It frustrates your team. It's another retention red flag. If employees don't know where to find resources, who to talk to, or what their next steps are, they feel stuck and disengaged. Nobody likes that. Here's how to simplify. Start with documenting the essential tasks for each role. This creates clarity and removes guesswork. Develop meeting cadences. Regular team meetings and one-on-ones ensure everyone stays connected. But here's the key. Meetings aren't about a one-way lecture. They're about collaboration, giving everyone a voice. How many times have you walked into an office or company and heard, "I know it's a mess, but hey, I know where to find things at least"? That's the problem. You know where things are, but if someone else steps in, they're lost. Take a messy technician's truck, for example. What if one day they're out sick? No one else knows where the tools or parts are. This creates inefficiencies, frustration, and wasted money, like buying parts that are already on the truck. Organization isn't just nice to have. It's essential for scalability. It requires change. And if you're not naturally organized, delegate this to someone else, someone who is naturally organized. Everything, trucks, offices, warehouses, paperwork, they need clear labels, written processes, and systems everyone understands. When organization is in place, your team works efficiently and your business is set up to grow without being dependent on any one person. All right, here's a personal story. At home, we have 4 kids, and mornings used to be very chaotic. Getting them out the door with socks and shoes was a nightmare. My husband couldn't help because he never knew where the socks were. Bedroom drawers were often empty or had the wrong sizes. Frustrated, he stopped trying. He didn't even want to help anymore. So that put all the pressure on me. I thought I had it all figured out in my head, but that didn't help our family team. Then one day, my husband brought home a simple solution, a shoe organizer with bins for socks. Now, all the kids' socks and shoes are in one place. Mornings became effortless. Grab a sock, grab a shoe, and go. This is the power of organization. When everything has a place, people can help themselves or each other. It frees up time for higher value tasks, whether it's in a household or a business. Your action plan. So, how do you create a business where core values drive success and retention becomes second nature? Here is your action plan. Number 1, always be hiring. Avoid desperation by continuously building your bench of potential candidates. Number 2, clarify roles and their responsibilities. Define those KPIs, the communication hierarchies, and the support systems for every team member. Number 3, listen and act. Regularly ask your team what they need to succeed and build a culture of collaboration and respect. It's not a dictatorship. Remember, your business doesn't grow because of tools or tactics. It grows because of people. Treat them well, give them clear direction, and make them part of something bigger. Thanks for joining me on the New Flat Rate podcast. If this episode gave you actionable insights, share it with a fellow business owner. And as always, let's build businesses that work for us and not the other way around.